Good morning. My name is Alex. I'm from Somin.ai. We build a platform that helps to optimize digital ads via AI. Overall, I'm busy with social media analytics in the marketing and AI application for over 8 years. And today we're going to talk about how we can use AI actually to do digital ads better. There's a free perk for you. So if you stay to the end of this session, you'll be able to get the book that we wrote about AI for digital ads. And this book is on Amazon. It's $9, so you can just get it for free. So stay to the end and let's start. So today we're going to talk about many things. We will be talking about age of social media, why social media is so different from other type of media, and what these differences entail for us. We'll be talking about some factors that affect the costs of the ad. We'll be talking about some free AI tools that can actually help you with digital marketing, and they're available to everybody on the internet. About the magics of this AI, which is honestly not a rocket science. And then, of course, how this AI works inside of Facebook. Finally, I'll give you a couple of case studies that will help you to bring it into more context. So, what is traditional media and what is so different between social media and traditional media? Well, if you look at traditional media, you will see that communication, in case of telephone, in case of fax, traditional mail, it happens one-to-one. If you go further and you look into TV, if you look into radio and newspapers, that communication happening one-to-many. But then if you look into social media, you will see that communication is happening many-to-many. It's people communicating to each other inside the ecosystem. And this is probably the key difference that Mark Zuckerberg and other AI entrepreneurs can bring to the world that haven't been available before. So if you're keeping in a mindset of the traditional media when you are in charge of everything and you can control everything, but then at the same time trying to apply these practices in social media, it might not always work, and I'll further explain why. So first aspect, of course, is that in broadcasting media like TV and radio, we have the flow of filtering and then publishing. And in social media, it's inverse, it's opposite. It's publishing and then filtering. And just one of the recent case study, you heard about the Facebook when some speech, some message was not properly filtered by machine learning algorithms that entail a lot of problems. And many brands decided to opt out from Facebook for a while. And Facebook also had to put additional measures, additional learning algorithms to do this additional filtering. So why this happened? It's exactly because of the nature of social media. You get published content first, and then somebody or maybe AI have to filter it. And overall, there's a huge amount of data. If you look into how many things happening in internet in just 67 seconds, you will see that just Facebook alone have millions of logins happening. And all these people interact, communicate, they see the ads, they are interacting with the ads, interacting with your page. And of course, human cannot manage this. You need AI systems to manage, and social networks and search engines are doing this. So I will talk pretty much about this today. If you look in the key characteristics of social media, and just to summarize, it's everybody is pretty much a media outlet, and interactions are very rich. There's much more ways of interacting with each other by liking content, by following, by commenting something, by writing a private message, by watching content and other things. Content is user-generated predominantly. Sometimes it's brand-generated, but it's still much less control as compared to traditional media. Environment is very collaborative, and all this creates a kind of collective wisdom that also could be a collective foolishness, of course. Yeah, this overall brings this collective collaboration of the content and overall result. So, and if you look into the country-wise side of this problem and of this challenge, you will see that actually Southeast Asia is quite big on social media. If you look into Indonesia, into, let's say, Philippines and other countries, they are very strong. Russia is very big on Instagram as well. And overall, Facebook is strong here. So for us, being in Asia, it's very important to understand how to handle all this in order to do a good job. So what are the key factors that actually affect how much your ads will cost? If you look at this picture, you will see that the organic reach on social media have drastically decreased over time. And this decrease has happened because social networks like Facebook, like search engines like Google and others, they are not really interested to show you stuff for free. They spend their resources, they also have to be profitable with any business. So they are reducing the amount of information you actually see as a user, especially if this information comes from a brand. So it's, let's say, a brand posted something on their page. Official explanation is, well, we want to have a more relevant content, and this is to a certain extent truth. But of course, if you look at the second plot, the white plot going up, this is about the revenues of Facebook, and it very clearly shows that lesser Facebook give ups for free, more revenues they can achieve, which is good for business. And what it means for us is we have to advertise on social media. We no longer can just put efforts in building our page and expect we'll be seen. No, we will not be seen. And there are many examples of pages of millions of followers and just a few likes and comments on the posts they are posting. So now, how to do this? How to make this whole thing efficient? Because, I mean, you have probably heard a lot about different changes that Facebook continues to roll out following some policy. Just recently in California, the way Facebook give you access to analytics have significantly reduced because of the policies getting imposed there. And therefore, media ads will be less powerful in California. And this is happening all the time. We had a Cambridge Analytica case. We have this case with politics recently in US and many, many other things happening. Not just in Facebook and all social networks. So how to mitigate that? How to also handle the constant changes of algorithms? Obviously, helping social media to improve their revenues, not just helping you to advertise, right? So they're continuously changing algorithms, adapting to balance this revenue model and your benefits as a brand, but you also need to adapt with them. And they are changing much faster quite often than what you can expect in your marketing daily routine. Of course, there are organic reach drop, which I just explained, and all these factors really is quite a big headache, because we are humans. We are very good in creativity, we are very good in abstraction, but we are not too good in handling of billions petabytes of data that AI and big data systems can do. And I would just like to highlight a couple of key cost factors that affect the ads. On the right side, you can see basically the average cost of the ads depending on the category. I think it's a cost per click. But also what does influence this? And this is audience of the ad, of course. This is objective of the ad, whether it's in a higher in the funnel or you want to make it lower in the funnel. In other words, if you're going for reach or for clicks or for converting your leads actually to make them buy your product. The budgets, you spend more budget, Facebook will be less careful in spending these budgets because they have to reach more audience and they have to spend your budget. If you spend a little bit, then they'll actually encourage you to keep using the platform by giving you really good results, giving you really best audiences. Now, how to balance this? Then, of course, the competition. When you run the ads, in different time, different brands bid for the ads and price is different. The placement, is it a mobile device or it's, let's say, desktop? Is it in Instagram or Facebook? It's an audience network. And of course, the relevance. Relevance is pure to Facebook, and it's like a aggregated metric that Facebook's AI computes and basically judge whether your ad worth to be seen by many people for low price or it's not so good ad, so it should be very expensive and seen by very few people. Going one by one, target audience, of course, is one of the key factors. And in Facebook, you have many ways to target the audience. One of the most agile ways to do it is through the interests. There's hundreds of thousands interests that are automatically inferred from user content that you can use to target your ads, but you also can use lookalikes, you can also use retargeting to reach your audiences again. Maybe they have already interacted with your product, with your websites, if you want to reach them again. That is also options for you. So if you choose your targeting in such a way that audience really reacts and respond to you fast enough after you start your ad, Facebook will decide that you are worth of be showing to more people. Same for organic actually. But if it's not, then targeting will be one of your key points that might bring you a suboptimal performance. So another thing is, of course, the marketing objective. Yeah, basically, what is objective? Objective is what is the outcome we want our ads to achieve, and you have high funnel objectives and a low funnel objective. We will look at it this way. Yeah, so if you want to get your reach, then you'll be getting as many people as possible. And those people might not be a really direct match to your product, but maybe you want to gain awareness of your brand, and you can get it through the reach ads. But then your objective could be sales, very low in the funnel. It will be much less people, but this leads will be warm enough for you to buy from you. And you can target ads for reach, for clicks, for sales. And the way you choose, the objective you choose, will actually affect the cost of your ads and your results. I have seen many brands who can do amazing work, especially with AI support, when it comes to, let's say, clicks, because people are interested, and awareness, but it just doesn't work with them in sales because they're too early. People might not be able to switch to them yet, but they're very interested. I have seen brands who can do sales from the very start. And I have seen brands that even don't do well clicks because they're literally too new and they didn't find the right audience to target. So this objective, it really affects your quality. And of course, the next one is the one I'll be talking a lot today is about the competition, right? Actually, how many other marketers, same as you, competing for the same people to show the ads? You know that in any programmatic advertisement platform, there is something called auction, where everybody put in bids, just I'm ready to buy this guy impression. Impression means showing an ad to one eyeball, to two eyeballs, to so a particular guy. Yeah, so okay, maybe that's not good. Let me do it one more time. So competition. This is another factor that is important, and this is pretty much about the situation of the auction. You probably have heard about it in the programmatic advertisement. So basically, advertisers on social media, they fight for eyeballs of people. And every particular person who's seen your ad on the screen is called impression. So basically, what brands are doing, they are fighting for impression. One brand says, I'm willing to pay $1 or 1 cent for this impression. And then another brand say, I'm going to pay higher, I'm going to pay 2 cents for this impression. And then the brand that is able to pay more usually wins the impression. So his ads will be shown to the guy, to the audience, to the user, and the other person will not have chance to show this. And of course, the competition and immediately related thing to the bidding are crucial. That affects the cost. Another factor is, of course, is when you want to advertise. First, because competition is different in different times. Second is also because your audience is active in different times. Sometimes they are working, sometimes they are traveling in MRT, sometimes they are going to sleep, and depending on that, your ads might vary a lot in terms of the cost. And then the next factor is, of course, the ad placement. Is basically which device you're gonna choose to show your ad. Is it desktop or mobile? I had experience when a really huge brand in the fast food industry that everybody know had difficulties to show the ads to younger generation, and then just change of the placement into more use social network like Instagram, and also to latest versions of the smartphones have actually helped them to really boost their results just by placement. And of course, this affects your costs and the relevance score. This is aggregation statistics by Facebook. They put all together to see whether your content is nice, whether it's relevant, to your audience, whether it's specific enough, whether the quality of the visuals are good enough, and then based on that, it actually assigns the relevance score. So you can see that it's pretty much the same advertisement from the same brand in the screen have different relevance scores just because of different content you put inside. In the first case, you target very general, and in the last case, you target a bit more specific. And also, you might vary your phrasing and your visuals inside there, so it will affect the relevance score. So this relevance score, eventually one of the key indicators that Facebook will be using and also evaluating for you to define the price for your ads. And you need to be smart to get a right relevance score, or you need to really analyze your data to figure out what really works, what really give you high relevance score, and eventually give you efficient ads. So overall, I would say the target audience and relevance score are the things you can really influence. Other factors you can also influence, but they are also depend very much on your business. Let's say if you want to drive sales, you're probably still going to run sales ads, even though your advisor will tell you, okay, you should actually do awareness. But like if I make everybody more aware of my brand, and I might not get my KPIs as a marketer, then eventually I still need to run sales. Yeah. So objective, the competition, then maybe when to advertise. You cannot really choose these things, or you can influence it, but you cannot purely define. But when it comes to targeting and correspondingly, when it comes to the relevance score that your ads are achieving, this is what you can improve on, and let me tell you how. So first, you can use a free tools that are available to everybody, and just by embedding these tools into your daily marketing routine, you could already really improve on how efficient your ads are. So of course, it's the Google Trends. I'm sure you all heard about it, but just let me re-emphasize that Google Trends basically helps you to figure out a little bit more related to the competition, and also related to what is popular among the audiences. And let's say for the same brand in the different parts of the world, you might get very different results in terms of what type of things you should push on. Let's say if you take food industry, and you will be keying in the burgers in the Google Trends, and also be keying in pastry, most likely burgers will be higher and more popular in US, but let's say less popular than pastry in Singapore and let's say in France, in Europe. And this kind of insights can really help you to figure out how to drive further, what to focus not just in your content, but also in your strategy related to your product as well as the targeting. You might want to target guys through the pastry actually, even though you're selling burgers, because this will eventually bring to you the audience that is relevant to your ad. So of course, the next tool is the Google search bar. Well, you will ask me, it's not a tool, it's just a search bar that we use. That's true, but it has a very useful feature of auto-completion of the line that you search. And this auto-completion is the best insight for you. What is the other queries people are actually searching about your topic? So you can, how do you know if, and then after that you can see other queries, what people are really interested in, and you can see a lot. So if you have a topic in mind, a couple of keywords you already want to use, let's say in your AdWords campaign, or you want to target in your Facebook, you can actually use the search bar of Google to figure out what other phrases can be used for you to do a better job. Then there is tools like WordStream. They are like a freemium type of tools. They have a free keyword research tool that help you to basically find a bit more keywords as what Google Keyword Planner produce for you. And they'll give you a little bit more statistics. So of course you can use this tool for you as well. You don't need to subscribe for the full WordStream subscription. You can get Google Keyword Planner, which is available to everybody again, and it's a very useful tool because it's not just helping you to find the keywords, in fact thousands of keywords that are relevant to your topic and to your industry, but it also helps you to categorize them. And you can actually test different ad sets or add groups, Google, with different keywords and interests, and see which groups will work better for you. And then over time, you can actually learn and improve your marketing. These all tools, by the way, are AI tools. They're not just statistical tools. Why? Because all these tools measure the relevance of these keywords. It's in fact a recommendation system, so keyword or interest recommendation system. Then, of course, Facebook Audience Insights is one of the last tools I would mention today, but there are hundreds of them, and you can research them in Google. What Facebook Audience Insights is doing, it helps you to figure out the audience of the particular interest on Facebook. So Facebook Audience Insights actually help you to understand what is the demographics of particular interest, and then based on that you can decide whether you want to use this interest for targeting or not, because eventually you also know what's your customer persona and how to match this. What is the most powerful here is that you not just can do it not just for the interest, but you can also do it for other other brands on Facebook, if they're big enough. So if you're a fast food brand, if you're McDonald's, let's say, you can actually find Burger King interest keyed inside Facebook, and then Facebook will tell you who are the audiences of Burger King in Facebook. Such a competitor insight is Facebook themselves telling you what's the audience of your competitor. And then you can also use this interest to target your ads. So you can effectively targeting people who follow your competitor, and you can get a better market share if you'll be following this strategy. So, well, all these tools are based on AI. All these tools are widely available. But overall, what is this AI mythical tool? Is it like something very complicated? So many people talk about it. Literally every deep tech startup now says that they're using AI. We have agencies who say that they use AI in everything, and they do use, all of us use it every day. But do we really understand what AI is and what stands behind this hype AI term? Well, let me bring a little bit of insight into this. I'm happy to talk about it way longer, for hours or days. That's my course in the university that I'm reading as a professor there, but let me just give you a little bit insight. Let's look at this guy. This guy is James Pennebaker. So what he invented is a very simple thing. He invented something called LIWC, and it's a tool helping you to break down every text into the categories. And these categories happen to be related to your personality. So, for example, people who say I more often than we are much less likely to be leaders than followers. So leaders say we, followers say I. And many other things. So he, being a linguist and psychologist, with his team of data scientists, come up with a very nice categorization that breaks down whatever text we write into this personality type of behavioral aspects. And it will give you the two plots you can see that can help you to, for example, differentiate introverts from extroverts just by distribution of what kind of words they're using. So if you take the social media, you get the whole timeline and you build this kind of plot of word counts, you eventually will be able to say how likely this guy is extrovert and how likely this guy is introvert. And this is called data representation. Particularly, it's called textual data representation. There are many ways. There are topic modeling, there is a dictionary approach like this, there is a neural network approach when you learn something called latent vector, and many of them. Okay, so you will ask me, well, this is text, everybody can count words, that's easy, I can understand it, but also what's so magical about it? And also, we have so much visual data around us. We have videos, we have TikTok that just consists of videos, we have YouTubes, we have our 3D visual world around us, and we need to understand it as well. So how do we represent the visual data? Same. The answer is the same as you do it with the text, with a little moment here. So look, if you look at my face now, you will see that my face have the edges or particular specific features that are very common to all humans. Like we have a nose, we have two eyes, we have mouth, we have ears. All those things I'm learning with my 2-year-old daughter, basically, how to pronounce these things. Yeah. So for AI, you also need to teach them, and AI also does understand these features of, let's say, our face to differentiate one face from another. And then if you go for general picture, let's say just a picture of myself, you can also notice that I have 2 hands, I have a clicker in my hands, I also have hair, I have my shirt, my suit, I have a watch on my hand, and all these objects actually can be represented by distinct edges. My watch is a circle shape, and it has these little features there. Further, you can have millions of these features. Deep networks can do it. So once these features are identified, and there are algorithmic ways to extract these features in neural network spot convolution, for example, you can actually build something called a bag of visual words. So it will be like your word count distributions, but it will be this kind of a shopping bag, grocery bag with a lot of eyes, ears, and other stuff inside, representing each particular, let's say, human image. But actually, any image is a background of mine. It's everything I have in this room, and everything in this visual world, not just on the static images, but on the videos, because videos is just a sequence of images to the end. So, if you're able to represent this as a bag of visual words, later you can use some algorithm that split these little tiny features into something bigger, like let's say face, let's say human, and so on and so forth. And then eventually you can figure out what are the objects are on each of the image around us. Just you can see in this picture, we have in Singapore, right? So we have Merlion, and we can recognize it's actually, except for Merlion's statue, there's also the sky, there's also the trees, the people, the stairs, many other objects on this image. So now we can represent images and videos as a sequence of objects. We can represent texts as sequence of words. How we can combine this together to let algorithm actually learn. This is not that difficult. I'll show you one of the most simple models, but believe me, all of them are pretty much the same. Principle is the same. Once you represent the data, and you can see that there are red and green classes of the data as well. So we have a binary classifier. We're trying to, let's say, categorize humans from non-humans. And non-humans can be cats, can be dogs, can be tables, whatever, any other object. So let's say greens are our humans and the reds are not our humans. We can compare them one to another because we can compare the vectors of the visual features. We can compute the distance between vectors of the words. So once we have a new object that we want to assign a label to, let's say this is a human, then what we will be doing is comparing this, let's say, picture with some description to other data that we already have, to our training set. And if our new objects happen to be similar to those green dots, which are humans, and most of these green dots will be closer to our new object as compared to the, let's say, red dots, which are non-humans. Eventually, our new pods are based on the key nearest neighbors will be categorized as, let's say, our human as well. And this is online learning algorithm. This is AI. AI is something that continuously learns, and this is exactly AI technology. So nothing more like this. You now already can say that you understand how AI algorithms works. So now you can think that generally in the marketing world, in technology world, there are hundreds of thousands of different these kind of models are built. Some of them are very complex neural networks, where one layer get applied to another layer, another layer, another layer. It can be thousands of these layers, or hundreds of these layers. But there's also some simple algorithms, and all of them work in production environment of the companies like Amazon, like Google, like Facebook, to deliver our daily applications. Right now in this room, I have at least 4 mobile phones continuously interacting, and these 4 mobile phones, 24 hours using AI services. They're tracking our locations. They are understanding what will be typed next to who, and many other interesting applications. So how does this AI works in particular environment of social media, or let's say inside search engines? This is one cute screenshot. This happened when Facebook have actually broken down, and there were a lot of content not available for people to see. So Facebook wrote down the descriptions. This picture contains 5 people. This picture contains dogs. This picture may contain a crowd and scenery. So where all these labels come from? That definitely not the users wrote these labels. These labels is exactly Facebook's AI is labeling any content comes into Facebook. It's millions of content per minute automatically get labeled, and later, based on what you post, Facebook will actually utilize this information to target you the ads and for other services. And it's not just Facebook, there's others as well. So they reveal this information. There's a lot of talks in other social networks. Okay, now I know what Facebook thinks about me, as a big brother monitors me, and there are a couple of more examples where Facebook actually recognizes the faces of the people inside the images, recognize particular people, recognize objects, and so on and so forth. So all this information later used by Facebook, including your browsing habits, and even including the browsing habits of your, let's say, relatives and friends, to build this big profile of who you are for Facebook. And then based on this information, Facebook will later target ads to you from the advertisers. So the advertisers will be choosing, I want to target to people who like pets, and then you happen to have visited a pet veterinary clinic recently, and then you had a pet playing with your kids on your Facebook page or your Instagram. That's a match. Now ads will be flying to you because you get called. My personal experience is the cooking industry. I am, well, not too interested in cooking much because I don't know how to do it well. My wife does, and she was very interested in certain type of cooking machines. So this cooking machine, after she bought it, was automatically assigned to me as my interest on Facebook. How I can find it? I can go into security privacy settings of my personal account and see why this happened. Because my wife was researching this machine before on internet, and then also Facebook knows that we interact on Facebook with her a lot, so that it gets propagated into me as well. If you go to Google, you'll see a bunch of services, starting from self-driving cars, ending to auto-completion of emails for you, that used in Google to enhance your life. When I say that all the phones in this room actually continuously use AI services to drive a value for us, for consumers, I didn't joke. That's exactly what's happening. And it's YouTube, for example, recognizes the potential porn video in the self-driving cars. They recognize the environment around them, trying to lead you the best through this environment in different location tracking mechanisms, or let's say in traffic jam prediction. They help you to go through traffic jams inside the city, and many other things. Finishing with Gmail, they're helping you to write your own emails. You write, they complete the sentence for you based on the information that other people were interested and they typed. So this is very exciting. This is also a thing we should think about, because it's not about the question whether we want to choose to use AI or not for our life and for our marketing. This is pretty much about when we decide to do it, and the moment when we decide to use AI defines eventually the how advanced we will be and how ahead of our competition purchase will be in the industry. Okay, so let me just bring you through a couple of case studies that show you how you can use your own AI on your side to help you to do a better job. So far, we have discussed how Facebook works, and we discussed also how does this Facebook bidding and ecosystem works. Now, what we want to do is we want to see how AI can be applied on your side as your best friend to help you to go through this Facebook forest of different unknowns, things, and uncertainties. So let's look at this picture. We have traditional competition in the fast food industry. We have three marketers bidding for the same people. One bidding with $1, another one bidding with $2 to get 1,000 impressions of this burger lovers, and the third guy bids for $3. The third guy wins because, assuming that they all content is a similar quality, because they're all big known brands and have good creative teams, the winner will be the one who bidding the most. So, well, now look at this picture. In case if the first marketer decide not to bid for burger people through burger interest, but rather bid to them through the pastry interest, it might actually happen that there are lesser people fighting for pastry than for burgers. And you can actually get these audiences much cheaper for you as compared if you will be, let's say, bidding on Google, it would be burger keyword, like very popular and crowded keywords, same as for Facebook. So you end up spending only $1, 3 times less than another marketer would spend, but you'll be getting the same people. And this is the key. It's called long tail targeting. And this long tail targeting is all about how to find a lot of these categories that actually help you to be more efficient in your bidding, while at the same time having the same or better relevance and performance. So what you should bid for, if you know the pastry example is quite obvious one, maybe so many people do it. And some brands even use typos. Like I know that Hewlett Packard was bidding for typos and was very famous for that because nobody compete for typos in Google. But how would you choose from all those thousands and hundreds of thousands categories, let's say on Facebook, to find those long tail categories? So in other words, the gut feelings that we have that burger people should be bid through the burger, actually not the way Facebook and other big data AI platform works. So there is one approach that we adopting in our company, in our AI platform, to help brands doing better. If you collect a lot of social media data, the public social media data that people post, that let's say brands post on social media, and then you apply AI algorithms that can actually help you to break it down into, in our case, more than 11,000 different interests and personality traits. So based on this information, you can eventually split these people into hundreds of micro personas, those distinct groups of people similar to their interests, that can be later pushed to Facebook, to Instagram, to Google, to target the ads. And these micro personas might be and will be potentially much more efficient at scale as compared to a couple of single categories that you will be choosing to target your industry. In fast food, the burgers, the cars, it will be automobile. In fashion, it will be probably fashion interest. Yeah, that's a bad idea. Don't do this. You can always find more categories to do this, and platform helps in doing this. We tested it with over 30 brands in 10 markets, and among those brands who have significantly increased their performance were McDonald's, Mazikir, Nestle, Ferrari, Puma, Audi, and many other big known companies. So if you look at it, in terms of how it works, it's pretty much similar to Facebook, to the native Facebook Ads Manager, where you put the campaign name, you plug in some objective, you choose the source where you want to deliver your ads, you maybe choose some demographics based on your persona that, of course, you all have and you all aware. That's how you build your product. And then after that, you don't need to set up targeting. You let AI to discover this targeting from this large universe, from your brand and your competitors. And then let's use these targeting groups, these micro personas, the hundreds of different targeting options to optimize that for you. And this is a key difference. So if you look into the Facebook itself, after uploading your content, after uploading your copywriting, inside Facebook, you will not get just one ad set or 5 ad sets that your agency or you will be creating for this campaign. You will get hundreds of these ad sets for every creative, every campaign you are running. And in certain cases, it can be thousands of ad sets. So AI will be later optimizing this ad set, seeing which deliver performance, which don't deliver performance. And only those demographics, targeting, placements, interests that deliver your KPI, like let's say sales, let's say cheaper clicks, will be used. And that's how your budget will be optimized. So you'll be only bidding those auctions on media platform that A, relevant, B, less expensive than those obvious categories and options. And you know, this worked for many brands. It worked for McDonald's, it worked for Audi, it worked for other companies. For McDonald's, it helped to drive app installs 70% more efficient. And this happened because of the content analysis, because AI was choosing the right content to push the ads to, and wouldn't spend money on those contents that might not work well. It also was generating new content examples, helping to diversify the content. So you sometimes can upload on brand, but then you might see that AI has generated hundreds of other content examples, and some of these content examples actually worked better inside Dynamics ads. So the budget was spent on them. We tested this with Puma, with McDonald's, and other brands. For Audi, we helped to drive clicks by 31% less expensive. And in a supermarket chain, we were able to drive the performance, not just in terms of social media metrics and Google Analytics metrics, such as cost per click, such as bounce rate and session duration, but also in fact of the number of actual offline conversions, plus the average size of the purchase house, average purchase value. So online ads actually can drive more effective offline conversions. And this all can be tracked, which is a beautiful thing of the digital advertisement and programmatic media buying. It helped Mazakir to increase the ROAS by 83%, increase the traffic by 33 times in Google. And all this happened because AI is able to discover these thousands of these categories and target people much, much more efficient as compared to human would do. You, in theory, can run 200 ad sets for every ad, but it will take weeks for your team to figure out these ad sets, and by then your campaign will be already finished. AI can do it in 90 seconds, and I think this is the biggest advantage. AI can also find micro-influencers at scale who didn't work with your competitors before. How it will be doing it? It will be actually detecting the objects inside the content of this influencer. Let's say for mothers, it will be the babies, the diapers, the baby attributics. For sports brands, it will be, let's say, sportswear and shoes. And then only pick up those micro-influencers that haven't worked with your competitors before, have a very high engagement rates, and also very relevant in terms of their audience and their content to your brand. And it proved with Mazakir, with Puma, with Jinsi, and many other brands. Maybe the last highlight is the Maya, is world's first virtual influencer who was not just never existed, but yet very active on Instagram, but also was generated by AI technology. Her appearance was built based on thousands of micro-influencers' appearances that have high engagement rates in Southeast Asia. And therefore, her appearance is very appealing to her followers. And now she is an Asia Pacific Puma brand ambassador generated by our AI technology as well. As promised, I've given you this QR code, which you can use to download the free book that will tell you a little bit more on long-tail targeting, on applying AI into your social media marketing as well as search engine marketing. And also through this QR code, you actually can apply to get free platform demo access where you can try it by yourself. And if you want to reach me directly, feel free to use the email address you can see on your slide. Thanks so much for listening, and I see you out there soon. Have a good day.
All right, hey guys, welcome back to MARS20 Marketing Summit. Obviously, you have Jeremiah over here. I'm your host for this last day. Day 5 of the summit. I think it has been an absolutely wonderful 4 days, and the last day is going to be really exciting. Now, this is the very first session of our day today, and obviously today we're talking about data in marketing. We're touching on topics like analytics, AI, machine learning, and I have with me a very educated and very a man of many different expertise, especially on this topic. So I would like to welcome Alex Farsi. Alex, say hi to everyone, please.
Hi everyone, nice to see you.
All right, perfect. Now, Alex, could you, for the benefit of some of our viewers just joining in right now, could you maybe give a short introduction of yourself?
Sure. Well, guys, thanks for joining this webinar. I have seen many of you. Thanks for actively asking questions. That's amazing, and I'm happy to answer more now. I'm Alex Farsi, the co-founder of Somin.ai, the company that built one of the world's first AI platforms that actually can run ads automatically via AI on Google, Facebook, and other social media marketing and search engine marketing platforms, as well as finding influencers for you, of course. So all this has been built for several years so far in Singapore, and that's why we know exactly how all those digital advertising system works on the back end. So I'm very happy to share that with you, and you are very welcome with your questions.
All right, thank you for that, Alex. Now, let's dive straight into this question and answer session. And the first thing that I want to kind of ask you is social media, the importance of running social media ads in a time like this. After during a pandemic, a lot of marketing budgets are cut. People might say, "Hey, let's not spend so much money on social media advertising." What are your thoughts on that?
It depends where you are. It depends whether you're a B2B or B2C business. Because let's say if you're a B2B, social media might be not as important. I'm not talking about LinkedIn, of course, but rather Facebook. So it might be not that important for you as an amplification device. But also, if you are scaling, if you're a digital business, or let's say you are a business that have e-commerce, so you actually have this electronic vehicle to scale faster, then maybe digital social media ads are those devices that can actually help you to boost your revenues by many, many multiples. And we have seen this with mother and baby brand in Singapore, who has increased their ROAS by 6 times by running more ads, and they get even famous in Straits Times in Singapore. You might read about them. But also you can see this example in other Asian countries. Let's say we worked with McDonald's, who have increased their media budgets during the pandemic, and that actually has helped to strengthen and enhance the e-commerce substantially, so that the brand went through pandemic quite safely, nicely, and even learned a lot of new channels and tactics and approaches by leveraging all the crisis. So there's no one answer, but
Yep.
I would say that definitely don't say no to social media ads.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that answer, Alex. Now, kind of move on to a leading question after that. And the question is basically, what is the difference between a human running social media ads and utilizing, technology, AI to run social media ads? What are the key inefficiencies of a human being?
That's about scale. Facebooks and Googles of our world operate with billions and trillions of data points. And based on these data points, they give us a lot of tools that we can use to set up our ads. Let's say thousands or tens of thousands different tools. Now, as a marketer, as a human, you used to make strategic decisions, whether what kind of campaign you want to run or not. So this must be done by human. But when it comes to setting up all this, there's a mismatch. You tend to think only about 7 things at the same time in your brain physically, right? But Google's provide you tens of thousands. This would be similar to if you are attempting to drive a car without a steering wheel, but just by trying to connect all the wires everywhere under your inside your engine and inside your computer to try to move this car around. Yeah, that wouldn't be possible. So same situation happening in the marketing as well. So key disadvantage is that humans are capable to abstract and doing very strategic, long-lasting, broad things, while systems and AIs require a very, very detailed analytics and approach to make them work efficient. And that's why you need the other tools to actually bridge this gap, to connect humans and very complex engines on another side.
All right, thank you for that, Alex. Now I think it's a good time to go to the floor to answer some questions. I noticed that you're already answering a lot of questions from the beginning, and but we still have more questions coming in. So I think this session might be useful to tackle some of those questions. This first question that I have from Baus, and Baus asks, with the increasing demand for personal privacy around the globe, and legal enforcements like PDPA or GDPR, data is going to be increasingly harder to collect, right? I guess the question here also from another person, right, from YE, it says, how can we leverage on our consumers' information, their data, without them finding that their privacy is being invaded?
Okay, that's the good that these two questions are pretty much separate questions, because I believe there's two different topics. The first is more about whether vendors like we can actually have enough data to do a job well. And the answer is, it's my personal belief that yes, and we will have, because the business models of the big advertising engines like Google and Facebook are based on the multipliers. And obviously that the companies that build technology to let brands utilize their platforms more efficiently are always in a favor. They're always provided with all the necessary data points, APIs, and access to get enough data in order to do a job. Because we will show you that the ads work very well on Google. You will later maybe increase your budgets on Google and Facebook and etc. So that shouldn't be a problem. Of course, that all have to be along the privacy regulations, which Facebook and Google are doing very well. In fact, they are smartly applying these rules so that we vendors cannot see where this data comes from for particular individuals, but at the same time, it's sufficient for us to do machine learning and AI inference to do better campaigns for you. So this is the first. The second thing is about leveraging on the customer's data. I think first important moment here is you need to really read what Facebook tells you every time you upload your data, because they're asking you to agree on the terms. In the terms, it's very clearly breaking down what is good to do and what maybe you don't want to do. Otherwise, there shouldn't be much problem, and I don't see many reasons, because the infrastructure that Facebook, let's say, established is already quite fair. First, every user on Facebook can see who advertised to them, can unsubscribe from these advertisers, and also can see which exact categories are used to map the ads to particular guys. You can go in your privacy settings, you can see this, and you can choose not to receive ads. So it's your choice. Once it's your choice, advertisers do not carry responsibility of using this data. But also at the same time, when it comes to you utilizing your data, you must be careful about to which extent you subsegment, whether you get consent of the users of receiving this data from them. would recommend to hash your data before you upload it to Facebook, so that you will remain the owner of the data, and Facebook will never know the exact people you uploaded, but will just know the audience that might match to the audience, so you can run the ads. Once you're doing that, in my opinion, the situation is very transparent, very clear, and very fair to everybody, which is how it should be always.
Yep, perfect. And as data privacy is going to be more and more important for people, I think it's important to have these practices in your business when you are running advertisements. Now, I want to tackle a question from Raja, and he asks, do tools like Somin will they be helpful for startups where budgets in general are relatively small, and hence the data sets would not be statistically significant for the AI algorithm to perform optimally?
First, we need to define what is small, what is not small. Of course, if your budget is $100 per month, AI tool actually still can help you, but you might not want to use it because your budget on the AI tool will be higher than your media budgets. So these things has to be proportional. We generally recommend you start considering using advanced AI tools for your digital efforts once your budget reach at least $3,000 per month. In this way, it will be quite a balanced spending.
Do you mean, sorry, Alex, do you mean 3,000 USD on media, or inclusive of the spend?
On media?
Okay.
On media,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
We in fact have different subscriptions, so depending on the media spend, there will be different price for everybody. So it suits SMEs, it suits big corporates, and everybody gets their own features, their own tier, etc. But this is in Somin. I would like to generalize that the data that you learn to do these inferences and to do these predictions by AI is much bigger as compared to those budgets you spend for these particular brands, because Facebook allow us to learn from other public data as well, data from Google, etc. So there's no problem for AI to optimize even tiny campaigns. This is only about how much budgets you willing to contribute, and what will be the split ratio between the cost of the platform versus the cost of the media budget you are spending. And maybe as a last point about this question, I would say is that in startups, we have budgets of 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 per month in Singapore. These companies still remain startups, but they, let's say in B2C, and they heavily depend on the incoming traffic leads for them to scale in a way they want to. So I would say that startups per se is not a right category for defining whether it makes sense to use advanced AI tools or not. I would rather say your stage, whether you are ready to scale and receive quite a bit of leads and handle them properly and on time with a good quality. But second is, what's your media budget you are willing to spend on your advertisement?
All right, Alex. Actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about influencer and how your platform allows to identify influencers. But unfortunately, we're running out of time. But for our attendees out there, we actually have a live panel discussion later on, and that's where Alex will be on the panel as well. So you can definitely take time out to ask your questions that may not have been answered during this session later on during the panel discussion. Because right now it's 12:30, and what's happening next is the networking session. So for our attendees that want to participate in the networking and the panel discussion, all you need to do is look at the banner below, and what's going to happen is that there will be a link that will allow you to click. And once you're clicking it, you'll join the AirMeet platform. You will then have to sign up using your email address that you used to purchase your ticket. And after that, fill in some details about your profile, and that's how you can join us for the networking session and the panel discussion. If not, thank you, Alex, for spending the short 15 minutes for the question and answer session, and we'll see you live on the panel discussion very shortly.
See you soon.
And for our attendees, thank you, and we'll see you at the panel discussion. Goodbye.